Welcome back to the channel. RacerX here, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the Dodge Hornet. And yes, I realize a lot of you guys out there don't like the Hornet. You don't like small SUVs. We're all enthusiasts here. I get it, but it is a really important part of the Dodge lineup. And we already have the Hornet out there in the GT and the GT Plus. We see those on the lots right now for 2023. But I have been waiting for them to release more information, especially the pricing on the RT. We saw it at SEMA, we saw it at Speed Week, but nothing on the pricing for 2023 in terms of the RT. Well, Dodge actually just updated their website, and now we know what the price is for the RT. We already knew some of the features of it. So today we're going to talk about the RT and is it actually worth the price of admission versus the GT trim that is already out there, and the fact it is only coming out for 2024. We're not even going to see these for 2023. That might have been part of the delay there as well. So a lot of stuff to digest on the Hornet. If you guys are brand new to the channel, don't forget, hit subscribe right over here. So many of you guys watch my channel, yet you don't subscribe, and it costs nothing. So don't forget to hit that button right over here, and off we go.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Now, when you go to Dodge's website, you can go to select a vehicle and you can pick the Hornet. And when you go to the 2023 Hornet, you will only see two options, which are the GT and the GT Plus. I fully expected them to put the RT on here any day because I was under the impression that the Hornet RT was also going to be a 2023 model year vehicle. But the only way you can actually see the RT version is if you go to the tab that says 2024, and then you will see the prices all come up. And one of the things about the Hornet GT that I actually liked so well is the fact that it's a lot of car for the money, at least in my opinion, compared to what else is out there. I mean, you get all-wheel drive, you get a lot of really neat standard features with the Hornet. And when I reviewed the Hornet GT for you guys, I was actually really impressed with the Hurricane Inline 4, the turbo four-cylinder, 268 horsepower, but a lot more torque. And it feels way faster than 268 horsepower. I even went so far as to say that the Hornet GT is considerably faster than the current GT model Charger or Challenger. I would guarantee you, if you line those two cars up and race them, the Hornet would absolutely walk away from the current Charger and Challenger V6 models. Here is the engine in the 2023 Dodge Hornet GT. This is a 2-liter turbo, no mistaking the fact that it is a turbo. Of course, you can see the turbo right here. A very neat and clean engine bay, 268 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. And as I roll down here, I am in sport mode. I just want to kind of just roll into the throttle a little bit. And it is surprisingly quick. I was not expecting this to be quick, but it is. That little turbo gets down and there's no lag with this Hurricane 4-cylinder. So that really does kind of surprise me just a little bit. So there is that. So it has some stuff going for it. And I believe the vehicle that I actually reviewed for you guys was only like $32,000 or $33,000. I say only, like I said, it is relative, but it felt like a fair amount of car for the money. Like I said, it seats 5. I mean, it's basically a crossover small SUV, but it got good gas mileage. I mean, it did check a lot of boxes kind of for the everyday driver. No, it is not a muscle car. And then, of course, when you jump up to the GT Plus, you're looking at $35,735, and that is, of course, without any additional options on it. But certainly under $40,000, you could have a well-equipped GT Plus version. But one of the things I was really curious about is just how much more performance you're going to get and how much more money the new 2024 RT version of the Hornet costs. Now, going to the 2024 model year tab on Dodge's website for the Hornet, you can see not only the GT and the GT Plus trim, but you can also see the RT and the RT Plus trim. And it does appear right here, same price as last year on the GT and the GT Plus, starts at $30,735. The GT Plus, $35,735. When you jump up to the RT, it looks like it is basically exactly $10,000 more for the RT, depending on trim, right? So what I mean by that is the GT, $30,735, the RT, $40,935, so just over $10,000. And of course, the GT Plus compared to the RT Plus, once again, right at just over $10,000 difference. So what all do you get for your money with the RT, and is it worth it? Dodge actually gives you a pretty cool comparison tool right here on their website. And it is neat to see the stats of these two cars right next to each other. On the left, you've got the GT and the GT Plus, and on the right, you have the RT and the RT Plus. And notably, the engines in these cars are very different. Obviously, the RT being a hybrid, you're going to have some distinct advantages to that, despite the fact it is a smaller displacement engine. So the 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder Hurricane that goes in the GT and the GT Plus makes 268 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. And it actually feels significantly faster than what the numbers kind of sound like with this particular car. I don't know why. It's just a turbo thing. A lot of turbo cars like that. But what's even more staggering is when you look at the RT, despite having a much smaller displacement, 1.3-liter turbo versus the 2-liter in the GT and the GT Plus, it puts out more horsepower due to the electric assist, 288 horsepower. And I realize that's 20 horsepower. That isn't a very big difference, but the staggering number here is more on the torque, as would be expected, because with electric assisted cars, they tend to make a fair amount of torque, 383 pound-feet of torque. So when you compare that to, say, the Charger and the Challenger RT that we have out there for 2023, the torque number is actually not that different. It's only 12 less pound-feet of torque than the 5.7-liter V8 that comes in the current Charger and Challenger. So that is actually a pretty impressive stat line. 1.3-liter engine. That is a small little engine, but the electric assist, as I mentioned, makes a massive difference, and that power comes on very, very quickly. Anybody that understands how these electric cars work, they understand that that power is going to come on really fast. And it says right here, 0 to 60 in 5.6 seconds. And this actually has another quirky little item. It is actually the kind of the push to pass system, where it basically adds an additional 30 horsepower with just the push of a button. And that is more on that electric assist, right? So it's electric horsepower. So it's going to come on really fast and really hard. And you wouldn't think 30 horsepower would really feel like a lot. And it's probably not a ton, but it is probably noticeable. But 20 horsepower, when you just look at the horsepower numbers, it's not that different from the GT. It probably makes the most sense to compare the base GT to the base RT. Yes, I realize there are plus packages in both of them, and you kind of get the same things when you select the $5,000 plus package. You're going to get a better interior. You're going to get like a heated steering wheel, Harman Kardon. You're going to get the sunroof on there, all that kind of stuff. So if you want all the creature comforts, yeah, you can go for the $5,000 plus package. But I am really just kind of looking at the nuts and bolts of these two cars to see what the differences are. When you look at this, you will see, obviously, this is a plug-in hybrid. Certainly, you get the paddle shifters on the RT that you do not get on the GT. You get bigger wheels on this, 18-inch graphite gray with the Brembo. So they're 4-piston Brembos as opposed to the 6-piston, which you would kind of expect with this type of vehicle. But you do get the better braking system on the RT, Abyss lower finish exterior, so you get a little bit different exterior trim on this, and you get dual exhaust tips that you do not get on the GT trim. You get power seats, which you see here, also heated steering wheel in front. So obviously that comes standard on the RT, which is pretty cool. They both come with standard Coney frequency selective dampening suspension. So that is something that Dodge gave us as a standard feature. So that kind of wraps up most of the difference between the RT and the GT. Now, there is one other glaring stat that I did not want to gloss over, and that is fuel economy. And I realize my community is made up of performance enthusiasts, and most of us really don't care that much about fuel economy. We care about performance. But for the other 98% of the population out there, this is a stat that is very important, especially when fuel is $4 or $5 a gallon. And when you look at the GT, the stats really aren't all that bad. 21 city, 29 highway, 24 combined in terms of miles per gallon. And that isn't too shabby out of a turbo inline 4. But when we jump up to the RT, things change a little bit smaller fuel tank on this, 11.2 gallons. But Dodge promised us 75 mpge.
Not only will this combination deliver substantially more torque for everyday driving, it's also going to give you 30 miles pure electric range and an mpge of 75 miles per gallon with nearly V8 torque. Amazing.
Now that is really impressive. And also you do get 30 miles of all electric range. Yes, it does plug in, so there's that piece of it. You wouldn't necessarily have to plug in because you still have a 1.3 liter gas engine. But yeah, it's definitely a stat that needs to be thought about because 75 miles a gallon, I mean, you can go a really long way on a tank of fuel, even if it's only an 11-gallon tank. So keep that in mind. And both of these two cars, the GT and the RT, need to run on premium fuel. So that might go into factor as well. So what all do you get for your $10,000 when you jump from the GT trim to the RT trim? Well, I have summed it all up here in a nutshell for you. 20 horsepower, 88 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty significant. You get the bigger wheels. You get the Brembo brakes. You get the different exterior trim, although it's not crazy. Dual exhaust as opposed to the single exhaust. You get the power seats plus heated seats and heated steering wheel. You also get the push to pass or the power shot, which is that little button you push for 30 extra horsepower. And the biggest one, 75 mpge versus average of 24 on the GT trim. So is it worth it? That's for you guys to decide.
This is the first electrified vehicle for the Dodge brand, and this is the most powerful, compact crossover you can buy.
I will say this. I went on the website and built my own Hornet RT Plus, and by the time I was done building the thing, it was just a shade over $50,000. Now, is $50,000 a price that I would be willing to pay for a Dodge Hornet? No. I would not pay 50 grand for a Hornet, whether it's a GT or an RT. It's just not that kind of vehicle for me. And I feel like there's a lot of other stuff out there that I would want to buy for $50,000. This for me would be just like a daily get around type car. Now at 32 or 33,000 for the base GT, I feel like that is a steal because you still get all wheel drive and you get a bunch of other really neat features with just the standard base GT. And I really did like that car when I reviewed it for you guys a little while back. So like I said, I would be in for a little daily at 32 grand on a Hornet at over $50,000. There's a lot of other stuff on the market out there. I mean, maybe you guys are in a completely different boat or you view it a different way. And I'm not saying it's not a fair amount of features for the price. It just 50 grand just is a lot of money for a Hornet, at least to me. And we haven't even seen the GLH trim come out yet. It'll be interesting to see what that one comes out at in terms of price and power. I can't wait to bring you guys a review on the Hornet RT when they hit dealerships. We're expecting those at any time, so it'll be neat to go out and drive it and then give you my thoughts after driving it. But I want to know, what do you guys think? Hit me in the comments down below. Was the RT trim worth it? And I will catch you on the next one. So until then, RacerX.